So, good afternoon. Here we start the sum up of our all series of roundtables, which we engaged in all through the year. This was within the framework of our project, which is Ukraine and South Asia Open Dialogues 2.0, because this is the second year. This is the second series of the project. I really hope we continue it, but today will be the wrap up. And we have as wrap up topic the Ukraine's relations with South Asia, which is, of course, the topic, the seminal topic of the project, and we will discuss things around. Now, I have already said that we have the 5 to 7 minutes is enough for discussions, and then we go to ask questions or have our reflections. So I would be honored, to ask Mr. Artem Nosko, Minister Counselor of the Embassy of Ukraine to India, to say a few words on what is the focus of Ukraine, India, and Ukraine, South Asia, if you may, development that you might like to highlight, and also in the context of the past year since Mr. Narendra Modi's visit to Ukraine, which began a new chapter, hopefully. So how is it going? Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, I would like to say I'm pleased and honored to open today's discussion. First of all, before we move to official part, I want to use this opportunity to personally greet you with your high state award you received last year in August, awarded by President. So you're doing amazing job both for Ukraine and for India. So thank you for all your efforts for our two countries. And also, Volodymyr told me that at the recent literature festival, your books of translation were real hit, and we anticipating that soon there will be more books of translation coming, and more Indian friends will enjoy Taras Shevchenko poems, Lesya Ukrainka's poems, and other poems in your great translations. And coming down to the topic of this discussion today, I can tell you that situation during the last year it became a very unprecedentedly challenging, and new opportunities, same as new problems surfaced, and India and Ukraine are trying to continue their cooperation, which was set by Prime Minister's visit to Ukraine in August 2024. As you remember, one of the key points of joint statement was that Prime Minister and President Zelensky agreed to move towards strategic partnership. And it's one of the major milestones we have in mind when we plan our work, when we plan all our events and interaction with Indian counterparts. Last year was very busy from the perspective of political and economic engagement. We have unprecedentedly active dialogue since for the last 3 years, and we do hope that the next meeting of Intergovernmental Commission will happen soon, and it will be followed by a visit of President of Ukraine to India. So we are working. It's not a secret. We are working on it, and Prime Minister invited our president, and president accepted. So it's just the matter of arrangements. For now, we have, as I said, some challenges with regard the changes in U.S. administration, which changed a lot of balances in the world. And as we can see, India is also rebalancing its relationship with other countries. And I understand our today discussion to a significant extent will touch upon the EU-India FTA, Free Trade Agreement. And it's one of the consequential thing following changes in India's balances in relationship with other countries, because both European friends and Indian colleagues they acknowledge that 20 years of previous work they were sped up to significant extent this year. They received new motivation to speed up the process to negotiate this FTA because of of President Trump's policies. And while most of these things they're definitely not about Ukraine at the moment, but take into account Ukraine's resolve to move toward the EU membership and what we are working on integration to the Union. In perspective, we will definitely enjoy the benefits of this free trade agreement as well. For now, we have our agenda. We have our, let's say, engagement both at the level of peace process and bilateral agenda. I'm sure that we can move forward with more specific projects despite the ongoing war. We do hope that India would be more proactive with regard to peace process. They would be more engaged because India is the one of the leaders of the global South, and definitely they can do more. Not simply supporting the peace, but be more proactive. It is indeed possible. And while we as embassy, we work with at the official level with the ministry, with counterparts in the Prime Minister's office and other public institutions, it's very important that there are very close engagement, interaction of the level of experts, think tanks, non-government organizations, because one of the challenges we're now facing in India is the spread of misunderstanding and deliberate Russian propaganda here. So bringing more truth, bringing more exchange of information, bringing more engagement on and creating what is called positive agenda at the level of non-public interaction is very important. So I welcome this engagement, like welcome to the discussion. I hope it would be interesting and beneficial, and I'm glad that I can participate today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Artem Nuskov. It is a real pleasure to get updated. Let me announce that we have two very good friends, in fact, more. This is Olga Vorozhbit from the Ukrainian Week. She's the deputy editor of the International Desk, and also she is an expert of the organization Ukrainian Prisma, working quite for some time on India and South Asia related issues. And also our good friend, Miss Maria Tomak, about whom I think I need to say a lot because, she is not only an excellent journalist, does a lot of investigative work, but she's a human rights expert and she has special interest in India, having traveled there for many times and having written unprecedented stuff about the first article about Netaji Subhash Bose in Ukrainian media. And she is recently she held a lot of positions and she's now engaged in the organization as an expert, Truth Hounds, which deal with the recruitment of people from the global south, foreigners, through Russia to be engaged as fighters. And all of it is very illegal and she's really doing a very good work. So I also have Rudonil Ghosh, who is also a very good friend of ours. His name is also well known, having, he has penned a lot of articles, a lot of editorials, and one of the top journalists of the Times of India, and was also the first journalist to have interviewed in print media President Volodymyr Zelensky. We also have Anurag Krishna, who is a medical student. He's a graduate and he's also studying a further internship in Ukraine. So I think I have mentioned everyone. I think we have got Vadim Radlinsky also joining us. So I've introduced the rest of you. So let's continue. I would like to say if Dr. Olena Bordilovska can illuminate us on what is happening in very short, like what is happening with relations of Ukraine with South Asia, encompassing most of the countries that are in our orbit, that is India, Pakistan. And I need to say that Ms. Dr. Bordilovska has experience in teaching, research, and also in diplomacy, having been also accredited as a diplomat in Pakistan for 3 years, I think. Okay, so please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mridula, and good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Vadim Radlinsky actually is our master studies student from the Taras Shevchenko National University in Biology department. So he is here with us, which is a very positive sign, because we always welcome young generation for the participation. I would like to be not very official today, but just I'd like to share some of my feelings, because, being in Indology about 30 years and spending so many times for this research, teaching, and diplomacy, as you said, for me is a very special issue. And I will start with the words of appreciation to all our participants, especially those our friends from South Asia who joined us today, because really we have some friends and people who try to understand Ukraine and to bring Ukraine and the knowledge about Ukraine to India, which is very important, as has been said by Mr. Artem Nosko, and he mentioned that bringing more truth about Ukraine is our biggest task, and I would say the biggest challenge as well, because it's not that easy, because yes, we wish to do that, but the problem is how to do that. And also I'm totally agree with him when he said that it's still challenging situation. And if we discuss the relationship between Ukraine and India and Pakistan and the whole South Asia during the full-scale war, especially, I would say that sometimes for me personally, it's a kind of huge disappointment. And even I would say sometimes frustration and despair. Why? Because, I tried to explain a lot of things to our Ukrainian public, to my students, to my colleagues, friends, and other, about the foreign policy of India and other countries in South Asia, about the principles of neutrality, balance, and strategic autonomy, whatever you will call that. And it was not very easy for many Ukrainians during the full-scale war, but still, I keep trying to do that. But sometimes, even for me, there is a question, where is that neutrality actually? Why? Because, we always speak about Russian propaganda, about the special impact of the Russian media and the very special relationship between India and the most trusted partner, which is Russian Federation, as they said, yes? And we can understand that, we have some explanation, and personally I did a lot of such kind of job, but still we wish also some kind of relationship with Ukraine, with understanding of Ukraine, not only Russia. That could be named neutrality, actually. But you see, it is very difficult to trace some kinds of this attitude from Indian officials and publics, and we really appreciate the efforts made by our friends whom we have here, like Rudranil Ghosh, like Lav Puri, like Dr. Pramod Jaiswal, who visited Ukraine and during the full-scale war, and then who published a lot of good pieces about Ukraine in war, about the problems and perspectives of our relationship. But we have only few examples of such good cooperation, which is not enough, definitely. What I mean, actually, for the success of every project, of every process, it should be the principle of reciprocity and mutually beneficial cooperation and mutual interest. It is like in family relationship, in marriage, the same is international relation. When one side wanted something and another side does not want the same, there will be no success at all. The very bright example is Ukraine-NATO relationship. For example, Ukraine can proclaim whatever we wanted for many, many years, that yes, we will be the member of NATO. But it should be also the reciprocity, and it should be the process from the other side. And when we wish to bring knowledge about Ukraine, and we try to do that by different efforts, it should be at least some understanding and the same attitude from Indian side, which is sometimes stopped by Russian diplomats. We know that exactly. Sometimes it's just a tradition of just looking back what Russian can say if somebody from Ukraine will come. And that's why we have so many sad, very upset situation when our students go into Bhopal Literature Festival, could not get Indian visa. When we still don't have data for our president visit to India. When we have problems with our artists who are planning to reach India again for the cultural festival. And when we can't publish what we really want to be published in Indian newspapers, it's not easy, because that's why I named Rudranil, because he was really very helpful in that case. But it's only Rudranil. Where are all these media representatives who visited Ukraine together with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi? All of them just forget about Ukraine immediately. And then coming back to my personal experience again, I would love to speak even about the academia and about my colleagues in the universities who visited Ukraine previously, of course, not now. Has been invited by me personally, who delivered lectures, who met my students, who visited many places in Kiev, who can understand actually what is the life of Ukrainian people, how tolerant we are, what is our tradition. But then, when the full-scale war started, no one of them even did not ask about my personal life, about my children, about the condition, about the life in Kiev, actually. And then when I started to communicate with them somehow, and when I proposed many times, just please give me a chance to deliver a lecture, because I have a huge experience in that, lecturing in Jawaharlal Nehru University, in Manipal Academy, with the course of lectures about the geopolitics of Ukraine, about the foreign policy of Ukraine, explaining why Ukraine really wishes to be a part of European Union and not Russia-guided projects. They always said, yes, okay, but maybe later. This maybe later I have for the 4 years of the full-scale aggression, right? Of the full-scale war. They are always busy with something else. Not only Russia, it could be United States, European Union, whatever. But there is no time for Ukraine. This is very unfortunate, fact. And the same happened actually in 2014. I was in Delhi in one conference in Jawaharlal Nehru University in February 2014.
Yeah. Dr. Bordilovska, I might have to interrupt you because please, the time, please look at the time,
Okay, just leave this example and let's be more positive, right? So I mean that it is still very challenging. And we have a lot to do, not only with India, but we focused mostly in India because of many reasons right now, right? And that's why I just finished my last report on the visit of European leaders to India and this FTA agreement. I think that the only way we can improve our relations right now is together with our European partners. I can't see another options. I think that it could be some improvement after this agreement in different spheres, from business to people relations. And sorry for my long speech.
Thank you. Yeah, but everything starts with little steps. And for a long time, Ukraine was not so much active in the global south, and especially there were different problems of the country. It became independent, and I know what it went through. It had 3 revolutions, at least I have witnessed. So it's a very difficult task, uphill task. And I know that many of you are doing a titanic work. Now, I would like to ask Ms. Svitlana Kovalchuk. She's also doing a great work in the sense that they are bringing together the whole world. It's one of the top foundations, top organizations that just not only focuses on Yalta European strategy, which is YES in short, and which is patronized and led by the famous industrialist and one of the top figures of Ukrainian industry and entrepreneurship, Mr. Viktor Pinchuk. And Svitlana has the huge experience of getting together the world, and including Indians. They have been there, and she has traveled to India both as an expert to one of the very famous dialogues, the Raisina dialogues, and also she has traveled down till Kerala on a personal basis. That's what I know, if I am not exposing anything. So please, your take on how we can shape state-to-state relations a little bit. Dr. Olena said, but I would like you to focus on different aspect of relationship that is built by non-state institutions, please.
Good afternoon to everyone. It's really a big pleasure and an honor to join this very timely discussion because, as Dr. Bordilovska told, our relationship with countries of Global South are complicated, and it actually has historical reason. Yes, because we, as Ukraine, were not so much oriented on the relationship, and full-scale invasion showed us the difference, that reality is absolutely different, and we need to work with the whole world. And actually what we are trying now, we all together, experts, our diplomats, our business people, our media representative, to do within several years work which should be done during the last 20 or 30 years. It's not easy, but I'm still optimistic that thanks you, thanks such great people which are joined this conversation now, we will manage to do it, because Ukraine, India, other countries of Global South at the end has the same challenges, because we all are under big pressure. We all fighting for justice. We all want to have a great future in a prosperous and peaceful world. It's all the values unites all of us. Of course, it's not too easy to cooperate with friends whom we don't know very well as now, but even at our daily work, step by step, we can feel the difference. We started to work with one institutions and continue to bring more and more people to Ukraine, thanks to Maria, Thomas, thanks to Volodymyr, thanks to Rudronel, because all context matters a lot. It's what we are trying to develop through our public activity in cooperation, of course, with the Office of President, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We try to invite to our Ukraine events in Ukraine and abroad also representative from Global South. to tell the truth, it's not so easy. For example, even here in Davos, last week we did great Ukrainian pavilions under the great title Future Frontlines. It means as Ukraine future frontlines of democracy, of economic developments, of free world, etc. But unfortunately, we really tried to get representative from Global South at our venue, but we failed. We had a great discussion at Ukrainian representative with the participation of 7 heads of states and government and Secretary General of NATO, but unfortunately, we again couldn't get a representative of Global South, but still we believe that we need to work more, to work harder, and our representatives will join our discussions, because through joining discussions, through continuing engaging in dialogue, of course, we can change view and we can work all together on development future project. Because again, now we are at the time when actually the new world order is creating, as we could see from all developments, all discussions in Davos. And it was actually everything under the nice title, Spirits of Dialogue. So what is needed for everyone, for each country, spirits of dialogue. And we all need to contribute to development such spirits of dialogue. And Ukraine, as for now, of course, is a very interesting country for all international partners, because it's like live laboratory of democracy, of resilience of people, and actually live laboratory of creating a very powerful, I believe, country. And it's this period very important to develop relationship with our friends and convey our other countries to become big friends of Ukraine. And I really believe that all together we can make difference.
Thank you, dear Miss Svitlana Kovalchuk, for the nice introduction. And so I think I would sorry for muting someone. So I will be switching off my video because the battery and video and the internet, is taking up the battery. So I will not be visible when you are speaking. Now, quickly, I would like to say that this kind of discussions we can follow up later, but keep your mind within the periphery. And you already have a lot of people, so you may try, of course, to get government people is difficult for your events, but to get people of different other areas who are, can be stalwarts and can have fresh ideas, it is possible. And we will help you with that. If you want our help, we will do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I would like to not only introduce, but we have the pleasure to hear Dr. Pramod Jaiswal with his unique expertise from Nepal. The Himalayan, we used to say before, the Himalayan country, which is the heart of Himalayas, the heart of many things. It's like a pearl, it's like a pearl which has it has a very nice history, and it has beauty, it has everything. So my mind and my spirit is always in those Himalayan areas of Nepal. So please, Dr. Pramod Jaiswal, how would you view Ukraine's relations and how can that be strengthened? And what is your experience, please?
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Ghosh for the kind invitation and for this wonderful initiative. It is a privilege to join today's discussion, which is on Ukraine's relation with South Asia, role of state, research, and civil society. And we are equally glad that NICE is also part of this, along with East European Development Institute, Yalta European Strategy, International Resistance Foundation, and NISS. My focus for today would be on Ukraine's relation with South Asia, with a special focus on Nepal and the growing role of civil society, media, and think tanks in strengthening people-to-people and policy-level engagement. At the outset, let me say that Ukraine's ongoing war has not only reshaped Europe's security, it has fundamentally altered geopolitics of the world. For South Asia, the conflict has poses difficult questions about strategic autonomy, multilateralism, sovereignty, and the future of rule-based international order. Traditionally, South Asia has also maintained limited but cordial relations with Ukraine, largely centered on trade, education, defense cooperation, and diplomatic engagement. However, since the war of 2022, Ukraine has increasingly sought deeper outreach to the region, recognizing South Asia's demographic weight, political relevance, and growing influence in global forums. As the previous speaker have rightly pointed out, another significant development in the broader economic landscape that promises to reshape South Asia engagement with the world is the recent free trade agreement between European Union and India that is hailed by leaders on both the sides as a landmark mother of all deal. And this is going to be very important because this pact covers a market of nearly 2 billion people and quarter of global GDP, substantially that would substantially reduce tariffs and open services and investment channels between India and Europe, creating new opportunities for trade and growth and integration as well. While this direct beneficiary, while India will be the direct beneficiary, and the European Union would obviously expand market across, increase competitive. I think there will be spillover effect on the neighboring countries of India, like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and others. So I think these countries in India's neighborhood will have significant impact and deeper engagement. We all know that India's export base expands and supply chain has deepened. Regional trade linkages are likely to strengthen, driving demands for inputs, boosting cross-border commerce, and increasing policy harmonization that can enhance inter-regional connectivity and economic resilience. I think there will be improved infrastructure, regulatory cooperation, and investment inflow in the wake of this agreement that could help these smaller South Asian countries to diversify their own export destination and attract European and Indian investment in local industries. And that is where we see that Ukraine has an advantage because this would probably bring Ukraine closer to the other South Asian countries. Second, we all know that countries such as India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal have each responded differently to the conflict, largely divided by national interest, historical alignment, and geographical realities. While many opted for abstention at the United Nations, reflecting a desire to preserve a strategic balance and a great power rivalry, Nepal's position was different, and I think it deserves special attention. Despite being a small Himalayan nation with no direct stakes in European conflict, Nepal chose to stand firmly on principle. Nepal consistently supported Ukraine at the United Nations, including the 25th February 2025, at a moment where major regional powers abstained, and even when traditional partners like United States took divergent positions. Nepal vote was not symbolic. It was a clear affirmation of core values embedded into its foreign policy, that is, respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity, peaceful resolution of disputes, and adherence to international law. And this is where Buddhism comes into the picture. Nepal, a land of Buddha that believes in non-violence, and which is the foundation. Panchshil is the foundation of UN Charter. It's the base of Nepal's foreign policy. It derives India's foreign policy, the foreign policy of China. All these countries derive their foreign policy principles from Buddhism, and that is what United Charter and Nepal stands on. I think that is where Nepal strongly stands on. So Nepal stood with Ukraine because it is also one of the small nation. Nepal believes in peaceful resolution of dispute, as we said. So there was understanding that there was no need for power like Russia to wage a war against Ukraine. I mean, even if there was issues, they could have resolved peacefully. So that's why Nepal supported Ukraine, as it realized that Nepal can be a Ukraine for tomorrow, or tomorrow's Ukraine can be Nepal. So that is where Nepal stood, that it's their moral duty to stand together with like-minded countries, or we can say small states. And this decision reflects Nepal's long-standing commitment to multilateralism that is shaped by its own history as a non-aligned country and a strong supporter of UN system. It also demonstrates that smaller states can exercise moral agency in global affairs, and even amid international intense global pressure. I mean, we know how difficult it is for a small country like Nepal to take sides, especially against the bigger power. But diplomacy today is no longer saved by government alone. So people of Nepal really pressurized the government to take a stand, which was in favor of Ukraine for what you call just system. And this brings me to the another important dimension of Ukraine-South Asia relations: the role of civil society, media, and think tanks in the era of information warfare, where narrative matters and Russia is spreading massive information. The role of civil society, media, and think tank is very important to bring together the people of the region. The civil society organizations, they help to humanize conflict by amplifying voices from affected communities. Independent media play a critical role in countering disinformation and providing balanced perspective. I think think tanks can contribute policy analysis, scenario building, and track 1.5, track 2 can create informal spaces for dialogue when official channels are constrained. In Nepal, we are the only think tank that has organized several discussions on Ukraine. What we have also realized that there is increase in the understanding about Ukraine in Nepal. There is increase in understanding Russia's behavior after Russia-Ukraine war, and I think media think tank should be appreciated for that. My own understanding about Ukraine has increased in recent times. My visit to Ukraine provided a deeper understanding and new perspective on Ukraine. I think these are important. And in Nepal, like our institution, Nepal Institute for International Cooperation and Engagement, has been actively working to foster international dialogue, promote strategic understanding, and connect Nepali scholars with global policy networks. And such platforms are essential in bridging gap between regions like Eastern Europe and South Asia. We were trying to work on a book on Ukraine. We failed, but in South Asia, there's a strong desire to understand Ukraine. I think uh, through these kind of seminars or policy briefs, media engagement, and academic exchange like this, we can build awareness about Ukraine beyond headlines, because what we have seen is that every country in this world are following Ukraine, but they are limited to headlines, broader headlines on the newspaper. I think we have to go beyond that. Second, we have to facilitate dialogue between Ukraine and South Asian experts. Like this is one which should be appreciated. I think in days to come, we have to further expand, not only Nepal, India, Ukraine. Maybe you can get Bangladeshi, maybe Sri Lanka and other countries, and we'll be happy to part of this initiative because Nepal is well connected in terms of the think tanks of the region. So I think maybe we can think on those lines after this conference. We should also encourage young and academic exchanges. Maybe we should get young people more involved about these issues, because I think not many in Nepal, not many in South Asia are engaged in this initiative. I think we should create a platform where we can get younger people to talk about what they think about Ukraine and Russia conflict, what they know about Ukraine, and what they want to know about it. I think maybe we can create those kind of caucus and also support evidence-based foreign policy discussions. That is very important. I think I have seen those kind of initiatives in Europe, but I think it has to go beyond Europe. So I think maybe in South Asia, we can start those kind of things. It has started, but in a very slow pace. I think these efforts helps move bilateral relations beyond formal diplomacy towards deeper societal engagement. I think we should get more think tanks, as I said, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Maldives, or Pakistan, Afghanistan into these discussions. Looking ahead, I think South Asia-Ukraine relations has significant improvement in recent times, but there are still untapped potentials. There are huge opportunities in education, agriculture, technology, post-conflict reconstruction, and people-to-people exchanges. Nepal, in particular, can play a constructive role as a bridge a builder, you can say, leveraging its reputation as a peace-loving nation, and that contribute a lot to UN peacekeeping force. I think Ukraine's engagement in South Asia should not only be seen through the lens of a war, it should also focus on a long-term partnership, trade diversification, academic cooperation, and shared learning on resilience and recovery, which is very important for the world to witness. Let me conclude with three brief reflections. First, I think Nepal's principled stance on Ukraine's reinforces the importance of value-based diplomacy, even for smaller states. Second, civil society, media, and think tanks are indispensable actors in shaping perceptions, building trust, and sustaining dialogues across region. And third, Ukraine-South Asia relations must evolve from crisis-driven engagement to structured, forward-looking partnership. I think in a fragmented world, bridges matters more than ever. So Nepal stands ready to contribute through dialogue, diplomacy, and development cooperation. We look forward to work together in days to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod Jaiswal. And I have a direct, immediate proposal to you. As we are compiling a report of different think tanks and different individuals and experts, I would be honored to have your input. Basically, whatever you said, if you can give it to us and it can be included, it will be great and we will publish it. So let that be the starting point. And I look forward to our engagement in having think tanks from Bangladesh, from Maldives, from other countries, Bhutan, Pakistan, to have the whole South Asia together. I know there are different geopolitical aspects, but where we focus on Ukraine, I'm an Indian citizen. I understand the nuances, but when we are talking about people-to-people contacts and not necessarily state institutions, I think there the margin is bigger and there is a bigger room to play. So I really thank you for this very good intervention. Thank you. I will give the word, but I will switch off for a moment because my battery is getting drained and I'm afraid. So I would switch off to my telephone. Okay. So before that, I would like to give the floor to Luv Puri, who's an independent analyst and researcher and also columnist, and he has traveled to Ukraine. So just for a second, I will go, but Mr. Volodymyr Pritula is there to take charge in any case. Okay, so I will switch off and come through the telephone, okay, because my situation is not good and there is some fire in the neighborhood, so I have to be careful, okay, so please continue without me, no problem.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Dr. Ghosh. Can I be heard? Am I audible? Hello?
You're
Yeah.
audible. You're audible.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Ghosh, for the invitation, and thanks everyone for joining, all the distinguished guests. I'll keep it short. Like broadly, I think Dr. Pramod has touched upon the broad strokes which are required to strengthen Ukraine South Asian relations. I'll base my presentation or a few points on the basis of my own experiences in the last few months, after I traveled to Ukraine. One is, I didn't realize that, before, but I think the Russian shadow looms large, on South Asia. We have to understand that, when it comes to expertise on Russia or, the knowledge on Russia is immense. It's like present in academia, it's scholarship, think tanks, civil society. Obviously there's a history to that. So what happens is that when it comes to the present conflict, all the analysis and how everyone sees what's happening with respect to the conflict is also seen through the Russian lens. This I'm like I had my personal experience when my reports were published, and some of these reports were also about the first POW who I got to interview. The reactions from some of my colleagues in India were like, oh, like no one would have done that except you. So and also it coincided with the President Putin's visit to India. So they saw an agenda into that, here, I somehow I want to sabotage President Putin's visit to India, and these are last stakes between the two countries which have stood by each other. But so my humble point is that we need to somehow realize the immense challenges that face people like us who believe that we have to stand up for international rules based order. We have to stand up for values. We have to stand up for territorial sovereignty, which is also in line with our own country's respective positions. So in that respect, this is a good start where, like I also said that in the Crimea discussion forum, that S2S dialogue will continue. Every government of the day will make their own calculations. What is in their interest? And whether there's A party, B party in each one of these South Asian countries, based on their domestic politics, etc., what their calculations are, they'll continue to make continue to go ahead and making their own stance on this conflict, whether that's the speaking out, like what needs to be done internationally, bilaterally, or in the multilateral fora. But this aspect of civil society to civil society, track two, which the previous speaker also talked about, 1.5 that should continue. And in that respect, I think Ukraine has some distinguished advantage. Many of the students, which I knew from before, that many of the Indian students who may be in their 50s, now they're in the early 60s, they've studied in Ukraine. There's a concrete proposal which I give is like it will be very easy for you to find out whosoever has studied in Ukraine in 1980s. My own cousin was about to study in Ukraine. I have a very close family friend whom I connected with many of you, like some of you maybe from Ukraine. He studied in Ukraine, and he was outrightly unabashedly in favor of what in favor of Ukraine and critical of what Russia did. So assemble that network, which is present in India, all across, like from north to south, east to west. It will also be present in other South Asian countries, Bangladesh. So, find out that network and use those networks, tap into that network, the alumni networks who studied in Ukraine, who know who lived there for 4 or 5 years. They're familiar with the granular nuances. And I think, that network should be tapped into to sensitize the larger South Asian population, what Ukraine position has been, how distinct it is from Russia. Everyone knows about the conflict. Like, people from, people of all classes, whether they are semi-educated, educated, they know about what's, about the Ukraine conflict. So in that respect, I think one concrete suggestion is it can be, and this is quite doable. Like, just collect all the information of the alumni who've studied and, organize events around it, because they can be, can be your messengers across South Asian region. Then comes to the forward movement, at some stage you are going to talk about reconstruction. And in that respect, I think South Asia again, can play a very important role. It's just not about, I think Ukraine also has to understand the South Asian region better. Like, it's just not the labor supply or labor export. It's also Ukraine is excellent in STEM. Going forward, what I saw, in Ukraine myself, it's necessity the mother of all, innovations. In South Asia, we call it jugaad, but in Ukraine, what you did was with drone technology and other spheres, what's happening. Like, if there's no electricity, there's I'm told, each household has some battery system where they're generating their own electricity. So what I'm saying is that sharing of best practices, where you utilize the Indian STEM human resource, and you have your own knowledge, knowledge created during the war. Sharing of that knowledge, I think that can create kind of win-win scenarios for both regions. That's the point I want to make. These 2 points are the broadly the 2 points that I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your nice ideas. But let me tell you something that I have personally faced a lot of experiences. I don't want to make it long, but first, the track 2 dialogue is going on, whether we notice it or not. Lots of organizations are working, people are traveling, and this is happening, and you have been very much part of it. These are drop by drop. It happens. It doesn't happen overnight, and these takes years to develop, in fact. And Ukraine has been active in its public diplomacy only after the full-scale war. in the South Asian continent, at least from that perspective. It started its work from 2017. Long years were lost, almost 30 years after independence. But this track 2 will continue and it will deepen. And there can be not one track 2, but it can be done by different organizations. And there should not be something like, it will be rather track 3, I would say, because it is people to people contact. And there will be many, there will be multiple, and the more the better. With regard to the alumni thing, back in 2012, we made an effort, but I have faced that people who studied in the 80s, especially in Kyiv, and I know also people who studied even longer, like in the 70s, they are pretty old, but, senior people, most of them, and we have also a WhatsApp group where I am a member. So lion's share of those people still carry the Soviet ideas, and they are still to break their slumber from there, and they have a lot of stereotypes. So they are uneasy to accept Ukraine even as an independent state. Those who are, they are few. They have started little by little, they have started changing, and they have understood that the reality on the ground is different, and so they are changing. And I would really welcome your proposal and also ask you to contact us, to give it to the embassy, all contacts of alumni, because it is difficult. Like I even talk to people who studied in the Soviet Union. I myself studied. I know Soviet Union through and through, but the problem is that there are people who haven't stayed in independent Ukraine and they still think that Ukraine is that same part of the Soviet Union. And that's a problem. Unless and until they visit Ukraine, they will not get rid of these stereotypes. So all we need to do is to ask them after the war ends to come and experience Ukraine themselves. So yes, that is part of other work, but in between, in the past 30 years, there's a new alumni that has come, which is the students which have come to study here, not through government exchange, but privately. That is a reserve we have not tapped. They are young generation people. And that is something that should have been tapped, which is always I pointed out, and we could have had, like when we are evacuating, Indians are evacuating around 20,000 students. How many of them really knew Ukrainian language? How many of them knew Ukrainian culture? So this is a gap that needs to be filled up. So that's what the Ukrainians are going to do. I mean, the authorities and the Ministry of Education and also the educational institutions. So it's a big part of our work. So I would like to now ask, if possible, on these activities, if either Ms. Maria Tomak, if you're ready to say a few words on what is happening and how do you see such efforts to be increased, because you have also communicated with students and in general about the situation and about connections. Please, your take.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. Thank you for invitation, and I'm very happy to be here and glad to see and hear all of the speakers. Thank you so much. And of course, especially dear to my heart, previous to speakers who were participating in the conference Crimea Global in the previous year. And it's so important for me to hear that people who come here, they start to see that there is this Russian lens through which Ukrainian events are seen and considered. Just this, like the very fact that this lens exists, I think that the fact that people start to notice that is the most important when it comes to this sort of trips. So thank you so much. And of course, like maybe based on our experience with the conference, I should say that there is an evolution, like a very good process of developing this context between Ukraine and South Asia, as far as I can see. And in the first year of the conference, we struggled much more with understanding whom we can invite than now. Now we have, it's not such a big group of people that we can consider and we know about them, but still there are people whom we can invite. And this year, in the previous year, we invited Dr. Pramod, and I should say that this very idea that we should not aim only to India, speaking of the region, but consider smaller countries. It's the idea that Dr. Mridula was proclaiming before, and I thank you for that, because indeed this is something that Ukraine was suffering from a lot when considering the South European region. There were talks only about Russia, and Russians, but never Ukrainians, Georgians, Belarusians, etc. So I think that this approach should be developed, and I totally agree with Dr. Pramod when he suggests developing some regional dialogues. I think that would be really very important. And also, I would like to point out, and maybe Olha Vorobut will say about that. And this is something that I noticed a lot, but this is something that Olha and her colleague wrote in the report that will be issued. I'm sorry if I will somehow interrupt into this topic, because this report is not yet published, but I read it, I had a chance to read it. And I think that we have to understand and to acknowledge that there is a communication problem, maybe crisis in general. It's not only about the fact that Russian propaganda is very strong in the region, but it's also that we, as Ukrainian society, can see and hear mostly only the news about the government's position of the South Asia. For instance, Prime Minister Modi, who develops these relations with Russia, fossil fuels, etc., etc. And that's how, from my, what I notice, how people in Ukraine very often perceive India through this lens, Modi is having this good relationship with Russia, which means that all Indian people are supporting Russia, which is not the case. And I think that this communication problem is that those intellectuals, those people who think a lot, who understand a lot, who read a lot, and who do understand what's going on in Ukraine and are ready to express solidarity with Ukrainian people, they are unnoticed for us, for Ukrainian society. And I think that only this kind of projects of public diplomacy, something that you refer to as people-to-people contact, can break this wall that exists now. So, and I think that it's not only about combating Russian propaganda, it's important, but it's also about us being able to see and hear those voices that are really precious and important in order to develop this dialogue. Maybe I would also say about, because Dr. Ghosh mentioned about this problem that is also we see now of the foreign fighters that are engaged from the region. And I hope that till the end of February, we will finalize the report that are working upon now with our partners about South Asian dimension of this problem, with specifically emphasis on Bangladesh, which was less in the media spotlight than, for instance, Nepal. And by the way, in Nepal, this problem has already almost was combated, which is important, and that is support that is confirmed by the coordination headquarters. But it still exists. It exists in India also, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, in a little bit in Nepal. So, and I think that it's also a challenge to us to examine those cases, as a state, and to see if there are elements of human trafficking in some of those cases, especially those prisoners of war who are held currently in Ukraine. And just now, this morning, I was at the meeting of the interagency working group in the Office of the Prosecutor General, that actually looks into the cases of human trafficking. And I see that Ukrainian state potentially ready to consider those cases, some of those cases, as potential human trafficking cases, and maybe it will bring some, developments to the fates of those people who might be considered as human trafficking victims. So, but in general, I see that maybe last point, because that was emphasized also by Love. I see that in South Asia or in wider Asian region, also in Southeast Asia, there is a huge interest to these technical issues, or I would say how Ukraine sustains our capability of survival, you know, all these things related not only to electricity, but how our arms is developing, how we develop drones technology, etc. So there's a huge interest in countries like Malaysia, for instance, but also I think that in India as well, at least. So, and I think that we have to acknowledge and to, even like people that are working with human rights, we need to just accept and not be afraid of the issue of Ukraine as a rising mil-tech power with really strong army. We cannot, unfortunately, not do that because that's a matter of survival. But we also shouldn't be afraid of talking about that and to be open and to tell the world about how we develop these technologies that, from our standpoint, that allow to reduce the civilian casualties, but to strike the you know those targets that are like military targets. So that's one of the issues that I think would be important to develop for the dialogue. And on students, I think that was comprehensive, but I would also like to see more efforts of the state in order to speak to those students, foreign students that are now in Ukraine. There are not many of them, but I think that there's not enough communication and efforts so that those people, when they leave Ukraine, they left with an understanding what kind of country is that, with this whole story, what is it all about, because we obviously underestimate their potential as, you know, public diplomats of Ukraine, cultural diplomats of Ukraine that can help us in further develop this dialogue. And I think that Anurag is a good example how this can materialize, but maybe he can also say his opinion on whether he experienced any efforts from the state or university, you know, to develop some system like that. Maybe it's already there, but I haven't seen that before. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria Tomak, for your explanation and for the different issues that you covered. It's really, really challenging situation, but most of the points that you have mentioned are in line with what Ukrainian government is doing. There is a need for the government, for the civil society, and for the other sectors, academia and think tanks, to join together and do things. And also, there cannot be a monopoly of any one organization or any one institution. Many projects can come and many things, because South Asia is big. It is almost a home to 2 billion people, and for which, one or two institutions doesn't make sense, and it is unproductive. So I would say that the more initiatives, the better. Now, turning the conversation to a more policy-related level, I would like to invite Olga Voroshbit. We have introduced her. So what are your thoughts with regard to the mother of all deals, which was concluded 2 days ago between EU and India? Will that have any impact on Ukraine, especially from the perspective that Ukraine is going to join the European Union, as President Zelensky has mentioned? Do you have any ideas how the situation can be in favor of Ukraine or not? Please.
Well, as of now, I can. Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to this amazing discussion, and thank you for all your thoughts that you've said already. I have several thoughts also on that and remarks, but yeah, I will start with answering your question, Dr. Mudula. So concerning the mother of all deals, I think that it would definitely, it will definitely have an impact on Ukraine, but of course, with the time, we will be more and more integrated within the EU. As of now, I hope that maybe politically this will influence the situation, and the position of India and of Indian government will be more interested in closer cooperation, because as we've seen from the last year, we need to activate this cooperation on the political level. But I would like to elaborate a little bit on what already was said, and I want to say that I totally agree what you've mentioned about the small steps that we need to make, yes, approaching the nations of the South Asia. And here I just have an example, maybe it will be positive one, and some of the speakers here know it, with the writer, and you also know it because I was telling you that example in our discussions about the writer Vijay Mohan, who became interested in one of the Ukrainian historical heroes, Simon Petlura, just like 20 years ago. And he himself researched the topic and wrote about that in Tamil language. And he's one of like most distinguished Tamil writers so nowadays. So that's these. But we, actually, I found out this story just accidentally when I was researching. So what I want to stress here that. When we are approaching South Asian nations, India, we also need to watch outside of the capitals, because we are very often focused on the capitals, on the government levels. But in case of India, it is very big and very vibrant and very different, and we really need to look outside of the capital, of the big centers, which we are used to. And in this case, just to search, for example, on Tamil culture or like culture outside of Bengal culture and outside of the areas that we are used to. So this would probably be the idea that I would stress on. And concerning the report that Maria was mentioning on the cultural landscape, it is already available, but it is available in Ukrainian, so it's available now for the Ukrainian readers, and I can share the link afterwards if you are interested. I do hope we will also have the English version because we wrote it in English, but as of now, it is available in Ukrainian. Thank you. Yeah, and please, sorry, I had the assistant here, so he helped me a little bit.
Okay, that's excellent. And yeah, please share your report, the link through the chat, so that Ukrainian readers can take a look at it. And when the English version is available, even we will be able to circulate. If you give us the link, it will be very good. That's an amazing work that you're doing. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is away from the capital. That is also relevant for Ukraine. How many people in Ukraine really know about, in India and in the subcontinent, know about Crimea? How many people really know about the different nuances of Bukovina, of Halichina, of different areas of Ukraine, which are very different from the Kiev region? Again, the centripetality maintains because we are, we have to start with the state-to-state relations, and they are mainly focused on the capitals. We have nothing against it. But of course, cultural diplomacy needs to be expanded, and that's what I really welcome the idea. And my personal efforts had been to extend it to at least my home state, Bengal, and I put all efforts to do that. I will continue doing that, and also to spread to other Bengali speaking, or Bengali diaspora within the Indian canopy. Of course, there are also other sectors. One of the sectors that we need to talk are the journalists. What we have been doing is to treat them as, let me not be very diplomatic, that as heroes, and just take them along, show them something, and expect some materials from them. But need I say that they need to know more about Ukraine before writing? Because in many of the writings, it is seen that they lack the knowledge. So I think there should be, or they are doing a lot of self-education, and there are exceptions, but in general, they try to just scratch the surface and write a piece, and then they've done a great job. That's not the way. So you need to also induct the journalists to allow them to know more. And one of the ideas that I had personally was to get together journalists occasionally, even on this online platform. But it is hard to get the stars of journalism, because this is a very, honestly speaking, this is a profession which gives birth to a lot of narcissist personalities who do not think that coming to a discussion for knowing something is important for them. They think they know everything. So honestly, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but my experience has shown that it is very much the case. So, but one of our exceptions is Rudonil Ghosh. So I would like to welcome him and say that what has been your experience? How did you get to know Ukraine, and how do you see that this kind of a journalist to journalist, we have a pool of journalists talking to each other. Ukrainian journalists on one hand also need to know more about India, because there they have also blank spots in their writing a lot. So to get two different journalist platforms, get them together, which I have just thought, I didn't attempt that way, like kind of a press club, an online press club. Will that be efficient? But tell us about your perspectives, please.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm sorry I can't turn on my camera at the moment. I would like to thank Dr. Ghosh for inviting me. Uh, this has been a very enlightening discussion, actually, and there are a lot of points to cover. Now, regarding Dr. Ghosh's question about a platform for journalists, I mean it's a good idea. It's a good idea. It's something that can be explored, and it will help in the exchange of information. Keep journalists on both sides updated about happenings in each other's countries. So it's a good idea. But what my understanding is that we need concrete connections. This is we can do a lot of events, we can have discussions, but we need to build concrete connections, and this is where I agree with Dr. Ghosh's assessment earlier, that we need to focus on the youth. The youth, that is very, very important. And I think we have to build more concrete connections between Indian youth and Ukrainian youth. And this is something I've said before. And of course we cannot force this, and it has to be organic. And so all we can do is create the opportunities for such connections. So we need to do more in that respect, because this is a challenging task, no doubt. I mean, and it's challenging for various reasons, as some of the speakers have highlighted. There's the legacy factor. There's distance in terms of not only spatial distance in terms of geography, but also in terms of mindscape, thinking, language. So all those need to be bridged. So it's not an easy task, to bridge this gap. But we need to find ways to connect Ukrainian and Indian youth for durable, long-term, mutual benefits, and that can happen, in various ways. I mean, I'm happy to hear that the Kolkata book fair this time, the Ukrainian stall was very, very well visited, and there were a lot of people who were interested in Ukrainian literature, and in fact many of them were coming across Ukrainian literature for the very first time. So and they were very excited, and they wanted to know more about Ukrainian literature, especially the young people who were visiting the stall. They wanted to know more, and it was their first encounter for many of them with Ukrainian literature. So it's very heartening to see that, and it's something that we can build upon. So that's point one. My second point would be that to make these connections, especially among the youth, we need something that you can touch and feel, right? I mean, India has yoga, and yoga is very popular in Ukraine. I mean, and especially in the context of the war, also, like, more and more people are turning to practices like yoga to, deal with anxieties and, the effects of the war. So similarly, we need something, Ukrainian in India, like, something that, people can, feel and touch on a regular basis. So in terms of, literature and the intellectual space, like, we have Shevchenko and, like, Dr. Ghosh's, translations of, Shevchenko, like, it's a great beginning in the intellectual and literature space. We need more translations, actually, of Ukrainian works. In that sense, like, there are far too few translations, and that is something that needs to be worked upon, and to make available, Ukrainian literature in Indian languages, not just in English. So that's there, but we also need, like, cool things, like, we have Petrikivka, and the Ukrainian members of the Ukrainian community in India are promoting this Ukrainian art, among young people, students. We had the Serendipity Festival where Ukraine participated, and a lot of youngsters there, like, they were introduced to Petrikivka. So all that is good, but we need to do more. We need, like, something at the popular level. And there, I think, maybe, like, we could look at things like sports. Ukraine has a fantastic tradition of sports. It's like it has got several world champions. And here, in fact, one example is very illustrative. You see, like, with Vietnam, we have Vietnam has this popular martial arts sport called Vo Việt Nam. And over the last few years, they have really promoted this sport in India. And today, actually, there is a Vo Việt Nam Association of India, which hosts, trains and hosts competitions, international competitions in India. And in fact, Vo Việt Nam has been included in the Khelo India Games also. So we have, all of a sudden, in the last few years, a lot of youngsters taking up Vo Việt Nam in India. This sport slash combat game, which has been introduced by Vietnam in India. So we need something like, tangible like that, to build kind of these connections between India and Ukraine. So of course it's not easy because of the war, and, like, we know that right now the situation being what it is, it's very difficult to fully devote all resources to this. But this is something that we can kind of think about and work towards. And I have in fact mentioned this to some of my Ukrainian friends before, that the best public diplomacy that Ukraine can do in India is to open a Lviv croissant outlet here. And and that'll be fantastic, because this is something that people will they can sort of, it'll be like a tangible connection between India and Ukraine. Because to be very honest, like, the Indian mindscape today simply doesn't, like, recognize Ukraine. I mean, it's very, very little, like, the recognition is missing. So we need that recognition in India, like, something that anchors that recognition in India. So like, something that we can, Indians can touch and feel and interact with on a daily basis. So we need to do more in the cultural diplomacy space. We need to do more in terms of youth to youth connections, and we need, like, committed people who will push this. It's very good to have, like, a few events. I mean, that's just a starting point, but we need to kind of follow up and keep pushing these connections, making, creating the opportunities for these connections. So a lot of work needs to be done. We have started this, and I myself am trying to do my part, through the Bridges of Empathy project with the Ukrainian embassy, trying to connect school kids between India and Ukraine. We need more. We need more along these lines, and I think that is what is going to hold us in good stead for the future. We have to work slowly, work determinedly, and sort of lay the foundation of India Ukraine connections, and modern India Ukraine connections, not like from the Soviet past or the 80s or 90s, so we have to do that, and it will take time, but it is something that we must keep working on. Yeah, so I think I've spoken enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was quite an elaborate explanation of many areas. Yes. Yeah, as far as food is concerned, I think a franchise style restaurant, not necessarily the Lvivsky croissant or the different restaurants, but a franchise type can be opened in different parts of India. And small and medium businesses, if they are given the chance to learn, even people who work not in 5-star chefs in bigger restaurants, but smaller scale, if you spread the recipe, spread the word, you can have a lot of small little dishes which are recognized by UNESCO as an intangible tradition of Ukraine. So those are also going to make because Ukrainian food is very different from Russian food, and I haven't seen Russian food restaurants so much, but this is something that people can touch. And of course, I know that Ukrainian dance and Ukrainian music, Ukrainian instruments, and there's a lot to be done. And slowly, let's hope things will work out. Ukrainian music, especially, is a very rich tradition of music, and I think there can be not necessarily classical, but it can be modern music. It can be folk music. Especially folk music will be very popular among people, so that people can sing. But I want to turn my attention to the question that has been posed by Ms. Maria Tomak. It is about the 2 elections that will take place in Nepal and in Bangladesh. I would like Dr. Pramod Jaiswal to comment on the Nepal part of the question, and if you would like to take up the Bangladesh part, I will also be very thankful. Please.
Thank you. I think election in Nepal will not have a major impact. The reason is that Nepal stands with Ukraine on the basis of principle, it was not the party-based decision. Second, the decision was taken at the time when we had a left party in the government, where one can believe that maybe Russian could have exerted more pressure on the left party. In the upcoming election, what we can expect is that Rashtriya Swatantra Party, which is a new party, which has a strong influence of Gen Z and the youth, I think they will take a much liberal approach compared to the previous. So I think it is good for Nepal-Ukraine relations that the new force will be more vocal compared to the previous. Even the statement or the decision taken by the previous government was satisfactory. So I think we're not going to see any setbacks, rather we can have more engaged cooperation in days to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone would like to comment on the Bangladesh situation? Mr. Volodymyr Pritula, maybe, if you would like to comment.
Пан Артем, я бачу.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Artem Nosko. Yes, of course, please.
Yes, thank you for giving the floor. So first of all, just very briefly, two comments. Why it's important to continue to engage with the think tanks, a lot of was said, but just for you to understand, there is some understanding of what's going on in Ukraine among people, among experts, and what is said at the public level. Because if we look closely at official statement of India, for example, let's take India, when they speak about Ukraine and Russian aggression, it's about neutrality. But when it came to Operation Sindoor, they actually used absolutely the same narratives which Ukraine using to explain why we are fighting for our own land, why we are fighting for our own people. So same situation, but they use different language for absolutely the same situation. So at the end of the day, if you and we all together can make them attribute also that terrorism has no difference. So terrorism, state-sponsored terrorism can be this, and here it should be condemned and it should not be allowed. It's very important. And second thing, just to understand, when you are working against disinformation, there is also one. Let's be frank. There is also a certain bias, which became stronger during last year. There is quite a lot of people who doesn't like United States. It's a fact, and many people say that if US is supporting someone, they don't like this side. So we try to explain that it's not something about being with US, so it's about our own destiny, it's about our own way. So, but just to factor in your explanation and your work here and your understanding, so it is present. Coming about the elections, again, we cannot predict what it will be. In Nepal, it definitely will be new government. In Bangladesh, well, we will see very soon. But how it will influence the relationship with Ukraine? I hope it will be positive. We traditionally, historically have good relationship with these both two countries. We never had any problems, both at the bilateral level and multilateral level. We have quite close cooperation within international organizations. We historically have, well, Bangladesh is one of the major, or probably after India, it's the second largest consumer of Ukrainian agricultural products in Asia. For Nepal, it's very well known for tourist destination. So I do hope that we will continue to work on that. But from the perspective of international law, it's very important, I believe, for these countries to change to change their relationship, to change their attitude toward this war, toward Russian aggression, because for smaller countries, especially smaller countries, I worked in Singapore and I know their position. International law is pivotal for protection of interest of small countries because when might is right, they have nothing to they have nothing which would protect them. And if after the elections these countries would take a harder stand and put more proactive engagement and trying to bring peace, not only by saying, by outreaching. We understand capacity, we understand diplomatic weight, but in international organization, in UNJ, one country, one vote. So let's remember about this. So we welcome, just hope that this election would come peacefully. And our embassies, they're also, well, in charge of these countries as well. So we are closely following and we will continue. As I said, from our side, I can assure. So whichever government would be, we are already prepared to be one of the first to outreach and try to promote our bilateral relationships. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. An excellent answer and covering of many different areas, in spite of the fact that the question was just on elections. I would like to ask the audience if you have any other question to the speakers, or the speakers have question towards each other, or any comment or any suggestions, please. Ms. Svitlana Kovalchuk has left because she has an urgent meeting. So please, anyone else would like to speak or would like to see, any remarks to be made, please.
Hello, this is Ananda Ghosh from Calcutta.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put up one thing. During the recent meeting of European Commission, Madam Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa and our Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi ji, they signed a bilateral contracts. Means there'll be almost zero
trade agreement. Yeah.
So now, my question is that till now, Ukraine has not joined EU, but whereas Bulgaria, Croatia, and other countries will already start, whereby not only government organizations, but even small business organizations have the ability to directly interact with those countries, enjoying the tariffs and many other things which have opened up. So, what in view in future do you have any such plans, if at all you get an opportunity to interact with us? Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the question. As you know, that Ukraine will join. It's a candidate country, and from the status of a candidate country to become a full member takes time. And I think, Olha Voroshpit, you have your hand raised and you can answer the question. I think conducted a roundtable recently, please.
Oh, yes, I will answer shortly. Actually, yes, but just 2 weeks ago, we had a roundtable on the trilateral or triangle EU, Ukraine, in India, and talking about that. So actually, Ukraine will benefit fully after it became the full member country, EU member state. But of course, now the process of as a EU candidate country, it could also benefit from the process more. I would say at the moment politically, but we can search for the spheres where Ukraine can. Ukraine, India, and the EU can jointly benefit from this free trade, from the new trade agreement. And I just wanted, why I was raising my hand, because I wanted to mention one thing, which was I forgot to mention previously. So concerning the research, academia, and also the think tanks. So we've been to India twice in 2023 and last year for EEDI, also meeting several think tanks during that time. And together with the think tanks, we were meeting like younger scholars. And what I've recently found out that through the Shodhganga reservoir of the Thetis, that of course this time, I mean the period when the full-scale invasion started, and also since 2014 when the Russian war against Ukraine started, the number of theses, so PhD theses on Ukraine or somehow connected to Ukraine, the number of them spiked. And I'm thinking now that we should we should build something also upon that, because these are scholars whom we need, with whom we need also to cooperate. So they're young, they are open, and they already have some knowledge. And well, it would be interesting, of course, to see how much like Russian influence can have, or Russian propaganda can have some influence on their on that research, or maybe it doesn't have. But I think these people, there are not so many of them, so I can share the list from the reservoir. But I think we should capitalize also on that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, may I just shortly talk to this answer, to this question? So thank you for this question. I just wanted to add that definitely this agreement creates a lot of opportunities in perspective, but already now we are working on our bilateral track in economic sphere. So we don't wait until we will become member of the EU. We already have our joint project. We already have ways to streamline and facilitate trade and economic cooperation between India and Ukraine. And as I mentioned, we currently working on the next session of the Intergovernmental Commission, which will be significantly focused on economic and trade and investment opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think that President Zelensky's visit will crown everything together. You know, it will be a big boost. So we have to wish that this happens sooner than we would dream of a future, you know. So this is very, very important. And continuing whatever Olha Bordilovska has said, yes, this is a very interesting proposal, and we are distributing a small leaflet within the Kolkata Book Fair, which is the Ukraine Study Circle. We're trying to create a study circle. It is not just internship, which we were doing last year. The study circle can include adults also, because if we just restrict just for young people, then the adults who want to learn will not come, you know. And India, we have a system of continuing education, also adult education. So I think we should open the doors to everyone who wants to come and join and know more about Ukraine. There's no age barrier for knowledge, you know, so we cannot stop anyone. You know, this is not, we are not a university or an institution. So the Ukraine Study Circle is something that we are trying to open slowly, step by step, and then have readings on history, readings on culture, and readings on politics, at least to start with, and of course, readings on foreign policy. Depends on the interest of the person. So I would share with all of you the details of it, and you can spread the word around for people to get and join together. It can also be a discussion platform. It can be a learning platform. And of course, it can also be some kind of a publishing platform in the future once we get a website on board, and we can have a pool of people who can be, at least, you know, they will not, they will have objective information on Ukraine. And us, we being non-state institution, we will not try to engage in any kind of a propaganda. You know, we will say the truth. At least Ukraine has been on the path of truth, and we will try to be as much as possible on that line. And so that will be the best how to fight Russian propaganda. It is not just to counter them and counter by answering, but by providing proper knowledge about Ukraine. And that is something that cannot be challenged, you know, that is internationally accepted. I believe that nobody will wipe out, I mean, to my mind, Shevchenko or Lesa Ukrainka, they need to be translated in all languages of India, you know, in Nepali language, in everything. So let's move towards that. And a small part of it can be a little induction course on Ukrainian language, which is a very difficult, but it should be something we can think of and start. So we can have also like, I was discussing years before with Olha Bordilovska that if we have an exchange program of teachers so that Tamil teacher can come here to teach Tamil. Nobody knows Tamil in Ukraine, and that's a shame. Sorry, it's one of the oldest languages. Apart from Hindi, other languages of India, Nepali language, apart from that, you know, we can have those. And I think Ukraine always had that capacity. And to spread Ukrainian language. At the book fair, people were asking, oh, this is Cyrillic, this is Russian. No, and the people in the stall were explaining, no, this is not Russian, this is a different language. So let's start with that starting point is good. So presence in different such ground, you know, like grassroots level, it's like a kind of an activist stuff, you know, because in the book fair the diplomats became activists, because the diplomats who joined, Mr. Volodymyr Pritula, you can say a few words, because I don't want to say what you told me. You had experienced it. So what is the ground reality? What did you see? Can you explain to the speakers here? Because it is very important for them to know that both the bad and the good sides. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I will tell you that definitely Ukraine made the headlines in Kolkata, and that was news of the city for the particular period of time. I hear a lot that the first thing when people come to the book fair, the first thing they ask, where is the Ukraine stall? So people come and they give the words of support, you know, that they're saying that, wow, there is a war going on there still, but you are present and you could be present here. So they are very impressed with the resilience showcased by Ukrainians. And also we did our stall with the limited resources we have at this point of time. We brought not only books but also some symbols which will symbolize, you know, Ukraine. So we have vinok, the wreath for the women. We have bulava, We have many different types of tridents, which is Trishul in India, and everyone knows, and lots of interest to that. Very good that we have the translations by you, Dr. Gvosh, of Taras Shevchenko. This is a very special. This is particularly, of course, the central part of the presence, because this is Taras Shevchenko, and this is, this very nicely to explain to the Indian audience, to the local audience, was that Shevchenko brings for us the same importance like for Bengalis Rabindranath Tagore, and that creates, that kind of understanding. They were, wow, this depths. And even the name Kobzar, the first three letters Kob, right, in Kobzar, in Bengali language, the poetry will be Kobita. So it has this kind of, very deep meaning, which we still have to discover and uncover to the audience. Of course, I mean, there are lots of people who would come and say, yeah, you've been the part of Russia, and then you have to explain every time. But what was the most interesting for me, because Ukraine also participated for the first year in New Delhi Book Fair, also with the help of our Austrian friends here, and also in Jaipur Literature Festival. So what I want to say about Kolkata particularly is that the audience is much more into depth. Right, they were so much interested to know more. Some people would come and stay there for 1 hour or more. Asking questions, reading books. So I think it's a great success. That Ukraine participated in the 49th Kolkata Book Fair, and of course the next one coming is the 50th. And I know that Dr. Ghosh, and not only Dr. Ghosh, because we had with us also Ukrainian author Lyubko Deresh, there were many discussions with publishers there in Kolkata. So I hope that next year we will be represented even stronger than this year, and our participation will be grand. And of course, Dr. Ghosh, next year you should be definitely there, because this is your hometown, your native town. So you have to be there. You have to be there with us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, don't bring me the nostalgia of not being in Kolkata during book fair, which is a very interesting place. I mean, I was hanging out since my student days. Well, I wish all of us could visit. I mean, each of you can visit the book fair and see. And I see the hand of Anurag Krishna before I could even give him the floor. So your take on how can students studying in Ukraine, how can they promote? Can you say in a few words? We
Sure,
are a
ma'am.
little bit short of time, so please, can you make your
Yes.
intervention, please?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Mridula. Ma'am, thank you so much for this opportunity. Дуже дякую. Доброго вечора, пан Володимир, пані Марія, пані Ольга, пані Олена, пан Artem. Дуже дякую. Dr. Pramod sir, hello. Love Puri sir, hello. So a few days back, I came to India, and I had this fortunate moment to visit my village. And as a souvenir, I collected a lot of 50 gravnas, 1 gravna coins to my village, and I spoke with a lot of my people, my family, and I presented them with this coin, and it was a small souvenir. I got a lot of magnets, and I was talking to them about the whole scenario, and they asked me a question that still the war is on, and I said yes, the war is on. And the very common question is, how are you surviving there? I said that I am from India, I belong from Bihar, and I believe we are enough, we are tough to stay there. It's not a great situation there. We are devoid of electricity, heating system, and everything. Hospitals are out of electricity, all these common things. And there was a wise old lady, and she spoke to me. She heard news on radio, and she was talking about like, oh, Russia, big country, but senseless. This war is very senseless. Very old lady, around 72, 74. I was shocked, and I was, at the same time, I was very happy that someone from village knows about the real situation, knows about the real mentality of what's going on. And I started talking to her, and she was old, and everyone around her also started listening to both our conversation. And we spoke about a lot of things, and she said that big country attacking small country, it's already a stupid thing. It's already a stupid thing. And people who are staying there, they are very brave. And I showed her the video, the recent video of a mother carrying her child out of the train when the train was attacked. And she said, these women are very strong. The whole situation, what will go, the psychological trauma these kids will have. So I believe people understand what's happening. They know that this is a very senseless war. As a medical student studying there itself, it's a very proud moment for me. Very proud. I'm very privileged to be there. And I was at this book fair and I spoke to a lot of people around me. I was with one of my friend Valeria. She is doing masters in Hindi in Delhi University. We have two students, Valeria and Diana. They are doing there. So it will take time, definitely, to talk about Ukraine, to understand what's going on, reality. It will definitely take time, but I'm pretty sure that we will make everyone understand that who is the real culprit here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that nice personal experience, which matters,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
mean a lot, which mean
Yes,
a
ma'am.
lot. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
And of course, the road to truth is difficult, but it is the only way that Ukraine can prosper. And I believe that each investment made in people-to-people relation will give result, and it is a very time-consuming stuff. The results cannot be seen in even 1, 2, or 3 years. So we need more support. We need more solidarity. And about my going to, by the way, my electricity came back right now. So the thing is that by the time we reach that level, we will be happy. And my going to India will be also important when Ukraine wins, because, yes, I've been locked in Ukraine, but I do believe it also gave me opportunity to write, to see, and to produce a lot of things which I did not do before. I mean, the amount of writing that I can do now, in spite of all the problems, I could do more, but nevertheless. So every adversity also gives opportunity, and I need to take that. And I believe that you have all helped me personally and our institution by joining the roundtables, by joining the discussions. And I believe this is the final end of the project, but we will continue. I'm sure that this project will continue. It has this essay competition of children, which we have started. And with the strong support of the Embassy of Ukraine in India, thousands of children have been writing essays every year from grade 6 to grade 12. And their essays are checked by professors of English, so for very high quality. And we have a jury, an independent jury, and this is institutionalized already. So I think this will continue. The internships will continue. The Ukraine Studies Circle will start, and also, of course, the policy discussions. So in summary, we will continue to work. I'm not saying goodbye to all of you in the sense that we are closing the project, but we look for continuity. And of course, with all your cooperation, thanks to each of you for joining. And despite all problems, leaving all your professional work, and I hope I didn't exclude anyone from speaking. So if anyone still has a remark or comment to make, if not, allow me to close the discussion here and look forward to meeting you again and again during this year and in the future. Thank you so much. And thank you, Marco. Thank you for being with us. You little one, you're our best friend. So yes, please take care, all of you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Ma'am
And meet you
Mridula,
again.
Ma'am Mridula, I want to tell you something that it was not. It was not possible to take the book from the book fair. The translation, what you did of Tarasichenko, I took some photographs and I sent it to one of my friend. He's a professor, and his native tongue is his native language is Bengali, and he was very happy with that. And it's a privilege to be the part of some institute and discussion where you're there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I think Taras Shevchenko is grateful to all of you for
Yes.
marketing him. You know, this was important for Taras Shevchenko, not for me, because it is all his verses, his copyright, his own things, and this is the soul of Ukraine. Yes, definitely. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you.